Hi, Julia Watts here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So in this video we're going to make a card which is Tabriz blue and white. Tabriz blue is one of the colour plan colours of cardstock from Sentimentally Yours, and we've got some snowflakes on there, and we're also going to be using one of the exclusive stamp sets from Sentimentally Yours as well. So just to show you what's on my desk at the moment. So these are the two new A6 Festive stamp sets, and these are exclusive to Honeypot Crafts, and they're on my website too. That you might find them in one or two other retailers, but they're not on TV. So this is the first one, Festive Ornaments, and you've got a big stamp here with obviously lots and lots of baubles on it, and these baubles are featured in the Festive Charm Creative Pack, which is one of the new card making packs from Sentimentally Yours. And then you've got lots of little mini greetings as well, which are going to be easy to slot in with all of your makes. So that's the first one. As I say, it's A6. And then this is the second one, and this is the one we're going to be using in this video. This one's called Festive Gifts. And you've got a pile of presents, or a group of presents there, a couple of candy canes and a little robin. And then again, you've got lots of sentiments, but it's in a different script to the Festive Ornaments. And again, these presents and the candy cane and the robin, they feature on the Festive Charm Creative Pack. So that's going to work beautifully with it. So let's do a little bit of stamping first, and then the ink can be drying while we're doing something else. So this is actually pure white cardstock from Sentimentally Yours, just a strip of it left over from something else, and we're going to go into our stamping platform and butt it into the corner as always. Put some magnets in place, and then we're going to stamp our main image. They are photopolymer stamps as always, excellent quality from Sentimentally Yours, as you'd expect from Phil. Let's have it down here and pick it up. And this is the Press to Impress platform that I'm using from Crafts 2. Move those out of the way. And we're going to use Nocturne Versafine Clair, which is a really good juicy detail ink pad, and it's perfect for if you want to do watercolouring, but also it has a good open time, so if you want to put embossing powder on top of it, you can do that as well. All the products I'm using you will find on my website, which is juliawattscrafts.co.uk. I only ship to UK addresses. That's where most of my customers are anyway. You can also find the products that I'm using on Honeypot Crafts as well, and they will ship worldwide, so you just need to email them and with a list of what you want, and they'll tell you. Okay, so those are they. Get rid of those. Lots of inking. Do make sure that your ink pad isn't dry. If it's dry, use a re-inker, and again you find all the Versafine Clair re-inkers over on my website. And then we give it a good old press. It's a lovely detailed image, and Phil has popped lots of little dots around the presents and the bows, and obviously the candy canes as well, which show you where your shading is going to be. And in fact, you don't need to do any shading, and I'll show you how easy it is to colour in. Now, the colour plan cardstock is not a watercolour card, so you can't move inks around like you would do with the super smooth cardstock. But the reason I'm using this colour is because the next bit I'd already experimented with, and I'd already put it on pure white. So you want to put pure white with pure white and not mix your watercolour card with it. Okay. I'm going to go again because this is a little bit light down here. That's probably, actually, I can see where the ink is there. I might not need to. Actually, no, I don't need to. I'm happy with that, I think. The ink is drying really quickly at the moment because of the weather. I'll leave that in there and I'll put I'll be wanting to use this again in a minute. Okay, really good thick acetate on these stamps. So if you just cut along the top, then you can just slide your stamp set back in again and you know exactly what you've got, rather than unsticking this sticky bit here. And look, let me show you something before we go any further. You know our crescent top tags? Take the largest one. Look, this image fits in perfectly with the largest of the crescent top tags, so you can make yourself a beautiful tag. If you want to go down a size, then you can do. You'll just lose a little bit, a tiny little bit of the image, but that again fits really nicely on there for your gift tags. And don't forget, with the crescent top tags, you've got your layer for the back as well, which cuts you a little hole, and then you've got the reinforcers here as well. Excellent, excellent die set. Love this die set. And don't forget that because it's Christmas, you're going to be giving gifts as well as cards, aren't you? So you can coordinate your card and your gift tag together. So put that to one side just for a moment so the ink can dry a little bit. And then we're going to go to another piece of pure white card, and this has been cut with the debossed double stitched squares, so you've got that lovely debossed detail around the edges. And this is from absolutely yonks ago. This is one of Phil's layering dies, and you get the inner circle as well, and then you've got another shape with it. But we're going to use this. We're going to use it in a couple of different ways. Well, not a couple of different ways, but you know what I mean. So we're just going to pop that into the centre there. Let's see where we go. And then I'm going to use some, this is Scotch low tack tape, which I used to stock, but now I can't get it from my supplier. So I tend to get it from Amazon. It's not cheap, but it does last a long time, and I do find it's the best. And if you're doing this sort of inking, obviously at Christmas you do a lot of batch making, don't you? So you can take this off and use it again and again and again. Also, if you don't actually get ink on it, then you can just tear it up into little pieces and use it for your die cutting as well. And again, use it again and again and again. So we're just going around the edges for now, just so we don't get any on that lovely edge. I don't want that. I'm going to use the Speckled Egg Distress Ink. And I know this is only a little brush, but it's the brush I've got that I've used with this colour ink. I don't want to get another lot out. So obviously with brushes, the inking is a little bit slower. I tend to use the brushes with all of my distress inks, and the foam is with my oxides. Speckled Egg is a very light colour, which you probably won't see much of until we actually do the reveal. And I do tend to use, though I'm not actually going to stamp on top of this, but I do tend to, if I wanted to stamp on top of it, say if I wanted to put a big greeting in the centre, I do tend to use Distress Ink rather than Distress Oxide, because where you fall off of the oxide image, the ink ends up looking a little bit different because of the actual pigment that's in oxides. It's a weird ink. It's a lovely ink to stamp with. Distress isn't that easy to stamp with because your images end up looking distressed, which is the nature of the ink. I've got a bit intense on the edge. Let's go around the edge a little bit more. I'll bring it in. You can see it's getting a little bit darker now. Don't worry about it too much, because we're going to do something over the top anyway. Okay, that'll do. So that's Speckled Egg Distress Ink. You'll find all the distress inks and all the distress oxides on my website too. Just a reminder, that's me. If it's anything's out of stock, just click on the email when available button and you'll be notified as soon as it's back in stock. Some of the oxides are not available at my supplier at the moment, but I do believe that they've got some more coming in soon. This is the new 8x8 Snowflake Flurry stencil from Sentimentally Yours, and we're going to actually, let's take that up for a minute, under that one. And we're going to slide it underneath this one. Keep the top in place. Lift it up. So if I lift it up and show you, you can see that lovely moon. So this is then going to go in here. Obviously you can move it around and figure out if you want different snowflakes as the central bit. I might have that actually, like so. And then because we've got that lovely border at the bottom, I'm going to put this tape back on again, just in case. I'm nowhere near it. I am actually nowhere near it. But, you know, sometimes it's a good idea, especially when you're doing a effectively live video and you don't want to kind of keep on doing it and messing it up. So now we're going into Broken China Distress Ink, which is a little bit, it's more of a turquoisey blue Broken China. And we're going with another sponge, and then we're going to go in onto the snowflakes. So obviously where the snowflakes aren't, we're going to have that lovely speckled egg colour rather than just white. You could abandon doing the speckled egg and then just have a circle of snowflakes if you wanted to, or if you've got any of the lovely papers from Fairy Hugs. Tumble Shine is a really good one. It's got lots of circles on it, and you could just add snowflakes to the circles there if you wanted to. So this is going to be quite dark, which is fine. I have got one I've done already, but this is a slightly smaller square, so I might actually use this one. So that's our Broken China. As I said, I haven't actually touched any. I've just touched the edge of that one, but I can use all of these for my die cutting rather than waste them. As I said, the low tack tape is quite pricey now. Didn't used to be this price. And obviously the ink will wash off your stencils really easily. Take that one off as well. It's not as easy to go through the stencils like this with your texture paste because you've got the lip of the top stencil. So I do tend to just ink. But isn't that a lovely background? It's because of the way that the ink is, it's almost, it looks like it's domed, but of course it isn't. It's really effective, isn't it? It's really nice. And you can use this technique with the new Fir Trees stencil as well. So you'd have a Christmas tree stencil look. And I have done a Facebook and YouTube live, so you will actually see a video from that. And that one was published, you'll find it on the 25th of June 2023. So if you look back, if you're going date wise, you'll find some demos using all the new products, and one of which is the Fir Trees, and I've done this technique obviously with different colours as well. Right, so this is the other one I've got. See, this one's slightly bigger square. It looks like a slightly different colour. Obviously I've just used a little bit more or less of the speckled egg on it, but again, they do look a little bit domed, which is really cool. And I'm going to layer it, let me just check which one I want to use, onto a piece of Tabriz blue card cut using the double stitched squares. Now, do I want to use that one or do I want to use this one? That's the question. If I use that one, I've only got a little bit showing. I think I'm going to use the smaller one. And then we can always add some gems and things. So I think we're going to use that. Okay. go to our back area as well. So again, I've got another square here and another stitched torn square out of the Tabriz blue. So my layers are going to go, this is onto an 8x8 card. Well, it's not a card, but if it was a card, it would be 8x8. And then this one will go on there like that. So you've got some layers, oops, going on there. Okay, so I think we'll stick this down and then we'll continue with, will we? No, let's not. I'm just thinking about getting things to dry, that's all. Let's do this first and then we can stick our layers down. I've used the new Charm Snowflake circles, and these come on an A5 sheet. Obviously mine isn't an A5 magnetic sheet because I don't have packaging either. But you've got an alternate of Snowflakes and double debossed plain, and you've got 9 dies on here and a little tiny snowflake, which is really useful. So I've used the largest 2 dies together and I've cut myself a frame, and this frame is going to go around the edge here like this. Sorry, I'm going to have to I'm really sorry, I'm going to have to stick the fan on. It's just too hot. So apologies about the noise, I've only got it on low. So see how that works beautifully, and it's as if it was made for that circle. So let's stick this down. I'm going to just put glue around the edge, and then I'm going to dip my snowflakes, scribble and dip my snowflakes, because they are very delicate, and what I don't want is for the card to, for the snowflakes to lift up when the recipient receives the cards. Obviously you can do this in any colourway you like, you know, whatever colour is your colour this year you could do, because obviously if you use distress inks you've got the palette of, I don't know, 70 odd colours to choose from, which is fabulous. Let's have a bit of a scribble. My glue is struggling a little bit in this heat. That should be fine. Tweezers. Yeah. And hopefully it all doesn't dry before I get to stick. It's the easiest way. You could use spray glue, but I'm not a fan of spray glue at all. Okay, that should be good. And then we're going to pop this, let's pop it so we've got it at the top. Don't sway it, Julia, don't sway. Give that a good old press. Right, I'll do a little bit tidying up and then we'll do some colouring. Okay, so I'm all tidied up and we're going to go back to our image. Now remember I said that this is on pure white card, which it is not a watercolour card, so you have to kind of make allowances for that and realise that it's not going to move in exactly the same way, and also you could get some bleed on it as well. We're going to actually colour in with distress inks just for a change, because I haven't coloured in with distress inks for absolutely ages. Now we used Speckled Egg and Broken China on the circle that we did, but Speckled Egg is a bit too light to actually colour in, because when you're colouring in it's quite surprising how distress ink lightens, and also it lightens as it dries as well. And it is a different kind of beast as well, because it's a dye ink, it doesn't necessarily move around as much. If you stamp with it you can move it, but once it's dry it's very hard to move without being able to see it. So this is broken china. So just put a little bit on your mat. Oh, that's a lot actually, but a little bit on your mat. And then a water brush. And then you're just going to pick up some of that broken china with your water brush. And we're going to go, let's go on to the bigger present so you can see. Just going to paint with it. And the standard watercolour techniques do apply, so if it's very watery, then it's going to be lighter. And if you go straight on with it, it's going to be darker. But it will lighten as it dries. It's just a different medium for you to colour in with. And because Phil's put all these dots, you don't actually have to do any shading, which is wonderful. I like that. Makes it nice and quick. Just going around the bow. It doesn't actually matter if you go on the bow or not. So all the bits that have got the shading, that's what we're going to do with the broken china. And which coordinates beautifully with the Tabriz blue that we're using. So that's what we're at so far. Bit of broken china. And then we're going to go with Mermaid Lagoon. Far too much. It's alright, we won't waste it. You don't need to clean your brush because broken china is lighter than Mermaid Lagoon, so you can just go straight into Mermaid Lagoon. And then we'll do the ribbon in Mermaid Lagoon. And I do tend to actually just do the areas one at a time. You can get, if you haven't got the watercolour blending brush pens, which have all got water brushes in them, you can get a set of 3 fine tip water brushes on both of our websites under the Sentimentally Yours brand. And there's also a wide brush set as well, which is great if you're doing your backgrounds. You've got all of this shading all done for you, which is marvellous. It's a beautiful colour mode, Mermaid Lagoon is. I am rather fond of blues. Check I'm on shot, yes I am. So that's very quick and easy to do. And obviously I've actually repeated it on this one as well. So I've done all of my square boxes, so the 2 square boxes I've done in the same way. It's got to dry yet, so it will lighten. If you're not happy about any kind of shading that's there that you don't want to be there, then you can go on with the second layer, but I would wait until it's dry. Then we're going to do one of these boxes. I'll do this one at the front so you can actually see. I am going to actually clean my water brush just now. And on this one we're going to go for other blues. We're going to go for Faded Jeans and Chipped Sapphire, again distressing. So the lightest one is Faded Jeans, so we do the actual present bit in Faded Jeans, and then we'll do the ribbon in the Chipped Sapphire. Faded Jeans is one of the first colours of Distress Ink, one of the early ones, and it's still really, really popular. So again, we're just going to go in here with Faded Jeans and colour this in. Obviously this doesn't coordinate so well with the Tabriz blue, but it is going to give you a contrast rather than colouring all of the presents in the same way. I'm only going to do 2 because I've got one that's coloured in already. You can lose yourself when you're doing all this. Imagine stamping your image out and lots of times and doing lots of colouring in. So we do the top of the box, and there is just a little bit just behind the bow as well. So there's our faded jeans. And then I'm not going to clean my brush because Chip Sapphire is darker. And we're going to use Chip Sapphire on the bow. More of a deep blue, more like a midnight blue. We always used to colour in with distress ink years ago, and I think we forget, and sometimes it's nice to revisit. And of course you use your distress inks, or I use my distress inks on my background, so they're there. You can absolutely colour in with your oxides as well. I thought we'd go back to using distress, regular distress. Nearly done. Just a little bit of a contrast against the faded jeans. So use darker ink there. Depending on where you pick it up from, sometimes it's darker, depending on how much water has been on that particular bit. So there's our 2 presents coloured in using distress ink. So once again, we've had Broken China here, then Mermaid Lagoon, then we've got Faded Jeans and Chip Sapphire. Okay. Now I'm not going to waste this ink. I'm going to show you what I do with this, just in case you've never done this or have forgotten that this kind of technique exists. So we're just going to spritz it with some water. There's lots of ink there. And then because I'm not bothered about having separate colours of blue, I'm just going to move it around with the edge of a piece. This is the Super Smooth Watercolour card, and then we're going to dip it in there. I'm going to dip it in again. I'm going to actually swoosh it a little bit, just to make sure that I want a good covering. I don't really want any gaps in this. It's quite a big piece of card. And when you dip again, you change it and you give it kind of texture. And you can dry this, and then you can mist again, and you can dip in again, and you'll get layers of ink on here. Now, there's a little bit of felt there from the ink pad. Now, I would leave that to dry naturally, and that is perfect for cutting those crescent top tags out of and making yourself a Christmas tag, whether it be on the front of a card or whether it be for a gift card. So don't waste your ink. Use it to make yourself a background, and then you've got a tag. And you can do that with your oxides as well, so that there's less wasted like that. See, I'd probably go over the top of that now with, once it's dry, with my Snowflake stencil. You could even put some texture paste through it, perhaps mix some glitter in with it to make a sparkly texture paste, or mix some of the luster powders with it to make a nice shimmery one. In fact, I've got there's a bookmark piece that's nice and dry, that's more smooshy. Okie dokie, let's go back to our piece. So what I've done is I've coloured all of my presents in, and I've actually cut the candy canes and the robin off. They didn't complain too much. In fact, there's a little bit missing there. Just spotted it. I need a tiny bit of faded jeans. I can't have that, it's white. It's a bit darker now. Lighten it up. There we go. It'll lighten. Right. Yes. So then I've got foam tape on the back. So I've got underneath here, I've got my circle. And this is going to go on here. So let's stick that down now. In fact, we will put tape on, I think. The back layers have got 2mm foam tape on, so this is what I'm going to do here. I'm going to put, this is Woodwear foam tape, which again you'll find on my website. I don't have all the colours of Colour Plant card in stock. You'll need to go to Honeypot Crafts for those. I don't tend to sell that much card stock anymore. Sending pots that are round and glitter pots and stuff like that with card, I just can't get my head around that, and keeping them all flat and nice. But I know sometimes Phil sends his out in boxes, so get the card from Phil. I do always keep a stock of the super smooth watercolour card though, because I use it all of the time. My fingers dirty. Doesn't really matter which way up. I think we'll have it that way up though, because I think I've stuck that down not quite straight. Let's go on there like so. Straighten it up for you. And then these presents are going to go down here in this corner. So immediately it's cool, isn't it? So this is just on 1mm foam tape. And that's going to go in this corner here, like so. Now I do have another present. Now on the this set, which is an A5 set, Festive Charm Sentiments and Extras. There are two stamp sets like this. There's two A5 stamp sets. There's the Festive Charm Sentiments and Extras, and then there's the Enchanted Winter, Enchanted Forest, Enchanted Winter. I think it's called. The other creative pack, that's got sentiments and extras as well. So you've got stamps that will coordinate with each of the creative packs. So we've got all the presents, and they're all individual here. So you could actually make this up if you wanted to by masking. And I was just testing out my colouring and how it would be on the pure white card. So if I wanted to, I could actually decoupage up that one. I don't think I'm going to though, because it's the only one that I've got that I've done. But you know, you could even extend it a little bit if you wanted to. Should we do that so we use it? Let's do that. Let's just do that. It's my 1mm. Just because we can. Ooh. There's a camera nudge. It has to be a camera nudge. Nearly every video has a camera nudge. Take the back off, it won't stick with the back on. And then we've got that one down there. Just extends it a little bit. Okay. Right, so we need a sentiment. So let's put that to one side. And I've got, there's the lovely die set, which is one of my favourite die sets, which is the debossed stitch flags and banners, and I'm using this pointy one here, and I've cut the plain one at the back out of Tabriz blue, and then I've got this stitch debossed double stitch one out of pure white, and we're going to stamp one of the sentiments from this stamp set onto our flag. So let's go for Happy Christmas, because that's my favourite. I like happy rather than merry. Not that I'm not a merry person, but I like happy. An acrylic block. And we're just going to fly by the seat of our pants and hope that I stamp it decently. I'm sure I will. If you're worried, obviously you can use a stamping platform, but sometimes when you've got the flags, it is a little bit fiddly. If you're worried, take a scrap piece of card, which I can pick up here, and just test it first of all. And 9 times out of 10, this one will be better than that one. You can see, it's cool, isn't it? It's a great font, this one. I think it's the same one that was on Smudge Sentiments. I think it's the same. Is it the same one that's on the little set? Let me have a look. Yes, I think it's the same one as on here, but it's obviously smaller on the smaller set, so it coordinates beautifully. It's just in case the weather's dried it up. So this is Nocturne Versafine Clair again, and the reason I'm using Nocturne is because I stamp my presents with it. Warm Breeze will coordinate beautifully with the Tabriz blue and the background that we've done in the circle. Okay, there's a Happy Christmas. And then we're going to pop this on here, but before we do that, let's put some snowflakes together. So these snowflakes are from the new Charmed Snowflakes set, and they come on an A6 piece of magnetic sheet, and you've got 2 stars of snowflakes and 3 sizes of each. So you've got that, that and that, which is this one, and then you've got that, that and that, which is another one, obviously, which I've used on another video. So this is cutting the largest size and the smallest size out of the pure white card, and the middle size out of Tabriz blue, and we're going to just put them together just like we would be putting together a flower. So you're just going to put a little bit of glue in the centre, and then you obviously can glitter if you want to. Then we're going to just offset that, perhaps like so. Let's put it in the centre. And we're going to have a little bit of glue in the middle of that. And then offset again. Let's not do a complete offset. Let's just go, instead of doing right in the middle, let's go like that. So it's a little bit more higgledy-piggledy. You could, if you wanted to, you could bend some of the, I want to say petals, some of the fronds or whatever they're called on the end of snowflake up, if you wanted to give it a bit of shape. But we're going to stick a gem in the centre, because this area has been set out perfectly to put a gem in. And the gems I'm using are the Aurora multifaceted flat back gems, which you can only get from Honeypot Crafts. You can't get them anywhere else. And there's 5mm and 8mm in here, so we're going to go for the 8. And where is, there it is. I'm going to use my pick-up tools. Which are quite warm at the moment. And these are kind of, they, as the name suggests, they've got a bit of Aurora Borealis on them, which is rather nice rather than just plain ones. Really lovely sparkle. Don't know if you can see, you can just see the aurora, can't you? Really pretty. Okay, I'll probably be popping a few more of those on the card in a minute. Let's pop this down and glue this. See, when I stamped my sentiment towards the point of the flag to leave plenty of space for me to pop my snowflake on the end. Obviously, if you're doing an everyday card, then you're leaving space to put something like a flower on the edge. Make sure that's nicely adhered and straightish. Do be careful whenever you turn your dies over and you're running your fingers over the back, because the edge of the die cut where the die is kind of folded in a little bit, it can be quite sharp and you can get a paper cut from it, which really hurts, so do be careful. Where's our card? Here it is. So I thought we'd have our Happy Christmas coming in here on the edge, like that. How does that look? Fine, doesn't it? And then we can pop our snowflake on there like that. Or what we could do is just bring it in slightly, and so our snowflake isn't over the edge of the card so much. So I think we'll do that. And do we want it flat? I think we'll pop it on 1mm foam tape. Just because the presents are on 1mm foam tape. That's always normally the rule of thumb. Your sentiment's raised if your image is raised. Make sure it's nice and straight. Hopefully it is. And then a bit of glue. I do really think that the Sentimentally Yours PVA is the best on the market. No, I'm going to have to raise that a little bit, I think. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to just put just a little bit of foam tape just there. I think we might have to go twice, which I could have used 2mm obviously, because that card is so thick. Let's hope we don't see the tape through it. I think we'll be alright. Can you see the tape? No, I can't, because of the way that my snowflake's stacked, so that's good. And we're just going to finish off, I think, with a few gems. Obviously I can't put a gem down here, but I can put gems in the other three corners. Oh, unless we put them down here. No, I do want them here. We're going to go Gem City, I think. Because we've got space, we can have one here as well. Could even go have one down there, but it might be a bit too much. Obviously you can glitter if you want to. I'm not normally a glitter person, but if you want to, you can absolutely add a bit of glitter to it. So let's have, we'll have 4 8s and 3 5s. Sounds like a measurement, doesn't it? 3 5s, that's what we want. They're very easy to pick up. Let's put the big ones on first. In each corner. Obviously I can't put one on the inside there. If you want to, if you can't live with it like this, you could just when you put your presents on, just have them over this way a little bit, and then you'll have space to put a gem there. And then we'll grab the 5. The 5 is going to go in here. Glue dries clear and matte, so don't need to worry about that. And there we go. That's all done. Happy with that. Hope you like it. A few different techniques there with colouring with your distress inks and doing the screened off background there with the circle stencil. If you haven't got the stencil, which I know a lot of people have, if you haven't, you can do the same thing. If you you can use a die cut, so use the waste and ink through the waste of a circle die cut. You can easily do that. So I hope you've enjoyed it. As I said, you can find all of the products over on my website juliawattscrafts.co.uk for shipping to UK addresses. If I don't have it, then you can go to Honeypot Crafts and you'll be able to find the products there, and they will ship worldwide. And it'd be lovely on my YouTube channel if you would like and subscribe if you're not already, and leave me a comment on there. I do love to read your comments. And just need to say, look out for my other videos. There's lots and lots on my YouTube channel, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.